Hello everyone, today I'm going to be doing a little gameplay guide, kind of long overdue, but this is going to be sort of a guide that's going to cover some sort of advanced gameplay techniques, and it's going to really focus on the dash system because the dash system is very significant to playing this game at an advanced level. So I'm going to go over the different functions of dashing, how you can use it for comboing and positioning and defensive options. So let me just go into battle. I'm going to be playing with Luffy here because he's one of the standard characters I think many people know. Okay, so first thing I'm going to talk about with the dash system is using it to continue combos. When you attack and you dash at any point, if you press the attack button immediately after dashing, you will continue from that same point. So let's say I do square square normally and I get that, or I do square dash square and I get the same attack. So basically the dash will delay the string, which gives you time to either reposition yourself to continue the combo because maybe the enemy's too far away, or maybe you want to get them from a different angle, like maybe you want to knock them into the wall, so you want to dash kind of behind them so that you can start pushing them towards the wall. And then you can also use it for defensive reasons. Maybe an enemy's about to attack you from the side and you just kind of want to dash off to the side so that you can avoid that attack. So it has offensive and defensive application. You may at first want to just focus on the offensive use of it until you get more familiar with it, and then you can start looking for defensive ways to use it. Now, another sort of trick I can show with this is continuous dashing. When you dash, you can dash at any point of the attack. You can dash like late into it, or you can dash immediately. So if you dash immediately, you can sort of do a continuous chain dashing technique, which is good for avoiding enemies. Like maybe you get trapped in a crowd and you just want to get out, so you can just kind of do this and push yourself out of a crowd. You can also use it to cycle through your chain, because let's say you want to do square 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 triangle, you want to do this attack, but it's too slow or it's too dangerous to try to pull it off in a crowd normally. So maybe you want to do like square dash square dash square dash then triangle. So that's something you will see me use a lot, like when I do my nightmare run videos, my DLC run videos. I use that a lot because it's very unsafe with some of those crazy crowds you fight to try to do a string normally. So you see me do a lot of dashing into my heavy attack. It looks like I'm just dashing, but I'm actually buffering through my chain. Okay, now let me kind of explain what happens if you start going into different branches and dashing. Let's say I do square, triangle, and dash. I have two options afterwards. If I do square, it's going to reset my combo string back to the beginning of the first hit of my square. Whereas normally if I was just doing square and dashing, it'll keep the string going. And then of course I can do square, triangle, dash, and press triangle again, and it's just going to continue the triangle string to the finish. Now as you can see right there, if I do square, triangle, dash, and then continue it, that's a really bad option. But maybe you want to go into your triangle string. Maybe you don't want to just go back to your square string. Maybe you want to be able to get into your triangle string, because for Luffy, his triangle string is really strong for comboing. So maybe you want to do like square, triangle, and then you want to be able to go into his triangle string, but you can't do that normally. There is some tricks that you can get to back to your triangle string more quickly. And this is something not every character can do, but Luffy can do it, and it's through his R1. The way R1 works is you can combo into it at any time, and anything action, when you dash cancel it and perform an action, you will reset back to the beginning of any string, whether it's a square string or it's a triangle string. So, and also maybe you don't want to get the R1 attack. Like Luffy's R1 attack will knock the enemies back, so it's not like I want to press square, triangle, and then let the R1 hit and then dash in, because the enemies are going to get knocked back and I'm not going to get a follow-up. But like I was saying earlier, you can dash cancel it immediately. So if I dash cancel the R1 before it actually comes out, then I can do something like this: square, triangle, R1, triangle, triangle, square, square. So normally if I did square, triangle, dash, I would get this, which I don't want. But I can do square, triangle, R1, and then I can get into what I do want. And you know, maybe you want to consider stuff like that, because like let's say for Luffy, his square triangle is really good for getting enemies in a juggle state, but the follow-ups after the triangle are not that great. On the other hand, his triangle strings are really, really powerful for comboing juggled enemies. So getting them into the juggled state and then resetting back to my triangle string becomes a really, really powerful option to use for a character like Luffy. And there's other characters it's really strong for too as well. It just depends. Varies from character to character, and not every character would have that option because their R1 won't allow them to dash cancel immediately or something like that. Now, let me explain dashing in the middle of a combo and not doing anything. Let's say you dash like normally and you want to try to dash again or something, you won't be able to. There's going to be a little cool time before you can move. So you see I dash and then there's like a little cool time before I can dash again. But let's say you finish the string. So I'm going to finish my full square string right now, and then I dash, and then you see I can go straight into running. Now, any string you finish, if you dash afterwards, you can hold the button and keep running, which is a really, really cool trick. And this becomes even cooler because most finishing hits and combos will knock the enemies away. So I can do a combo which will knock them away, and then I can run in real quick and then continue my combo. Whereas maybe normally a regular dash wouldn't be enough to catch up to them because they're being launched back. Now it's not gonna work for like every situation, but let's say if I'm somewhat near a wall, I'm near a wall, like I'm close enough to a wall to hit them against the wall, but if I tried to dash normally, I wouldn't be able to follow up. But if I ran into the wall to get a follow up, then so like right here, I can just run, reposition myself, and get a juggle combo. And you know, this just depends on how much knockback the move has, the character you're playing as, and so on. You know, some strings you're not really going to get a follow-up no matter what you do. But some strings you might get a follow-up. And also, regardless if you're going to get a follow-up or not, it's still a really handy technique for keeping yourself fast and mobile. You know, maybe you're just taking out a crowd and you're ready to move to the next crowd, so you just run straight to the next crowd and repeat the cycle. So that's pretty much it. I would say if you want to see the best use of these techniques, I would watch my Nightmare Dreamlog runs. Those missions were very challenging, so I had to really push the dash system to the limits. So if you want, I suggest watching those if you haven't already, and if you want to see like good use of all these different dash techniques that I just explained here. And if you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask. I think I covered most of it. Actually, let me cover one more thing. This is a really interesting thing. Let's say I'm doing the chain dashing I was talking about earlier. Now, if I do it away from enemies, I'm just gonna get this short, distant dash. But let's say I'm starting to approach a crowd of enemies. You see how I dash a lot further? Basically, when you're in enemy vicinity, you sort of get a homing property, I guess you could call it, which will allow you to dash much, much further. It's really weird how it functions, because you don't necessarily have to dash into an enemy. You can kind of dash beside them, and it's still going to trigger. But as long as you kind of have enemies in your general vicinity, you can get that extended dash. But if you don't have enemies around, you're gonna get a much shorter dash. So it's a really cool. Like, the thing is, if you run into an enemy, they're gonna stop all your momentum. But if you're like really, really good, you can kind of bob and weave around the enemies more quickly like that. You see, I get some distance and I just continue moving. So it's a really interesting property they have when you dash near enemies as opposed to dashing when you're not around enemies. And it's another thing you can consider when trying to get a combo follow-up, because let's say this normal short distance dash obviously wouldn't give me a combo follow-up, but the long distance dash follow-up you're gonna get when you're by enemies will open up the options for dash cancel combo follow-ups. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, just leave a comment. Thanks for watching.